Welcome to Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Hello and welcome to Arsenal Kids Podcast. My name is Maddie and today I'll be joined by my co-host Ben and a special guest Tony. And it is great to have you join us for this episode.
Yes, hello listeners. Hello Maddie. Sorry we're a little late with this episode. We're down in Adelaide and we are joined today by Tony in our episode, our last one before Christmas, and so a big welcome to episode number 164. And Tony, as our special guest, did you want to share with us what we're talking about on Arsenal Kids Podcast this time around?
Hello Ben and hello Maddie, and today we're going to talk about 3 games and 3 wins for the Arsenal.
Which includes a 3-2 victory for the men's team in the League Cup against Crystal Palace.
A 3-2 victory for the women's team in the Women's Champions League.
And a 5-1 victory for the men's team against Crystal Palace, again in the Premier League.
It has been great to have some good results leading into Christmas this year, as it was not quite so merry for the Gunners fans this time around a year ago.
It wasn't, was it, Maddie? But before we get into the rest of the content, we want to wish all of you, our listeners, a Merry Christmas this year. And if you want to give someone an awesome gift, make sure you share our podcast with them as we continue to cover all things Arsenal. And if you've got someone on social media that helps you keep up to date with our coverage, then encourage them to follow us on that social media, remembering we are also now on YouTube.
Because we would love for you to join us on this adventure together.
We would indeed. And Maddie and Tony, straight into our first game, and it was not the greatest of starts on a wet and wild London evening as we hosted Crystal Palace in the Carabao League game. And manager Mikel Arteta, he rang 8 changes to the team that started the last one, looking to rotate the squad to keep it as fresh as possible with so much football coming up.
But it was an early opener for Palace that gave them the lead.
Palace's Mateta bullied Kivior a little too easily off the ball and then strode past him and slotted it past David Raya in goal to make it 1-0 to the visitors after just 4 minutes of play.
And despite them dominating play and having a host of chances, we ended up going into the halftime break still a goal behind, and so Arteta looked to change it up, bringing on Odegaard and William Saliba. And it did not take long for our club captain to make an impact. After Sterling hit the crossbar after a brilliant cross from Kieran Tierney, it was our captain Odegaard who threaded a beautiful pass through to Gabriel Jesus, who was leading the line, and he took the ball past the defender before chipping it over the Palace keeper, bringing the scores back to 1-1.
It was great to see our number 9 to recognise his partner pregnancy with his goal celebration.
And then it was another substitute making a difference as Bukayo Saka was introduced into the game, and he passed through to Jesus, who smashed the ball home to make the scores 2-1, and then wrapping it up, an outstanding second half performance. Jesus then slotted home his hat-trick when Odegaard sent him clean through on goal on the counter-attack, and he made no mistake, making it 3-1 on the night with 10 minutes left to play.
And scoring a hat-trick means that he gets to take the match ball home.
He does indeed, and while a former gunny, Eddie Nketiah, got a goal with 5 minutes left, he made the finish a little more nervy than we may have liked, but we won the game, and it means that we are on the way to the semi-finals.
And in the semi-finals, Arsenal are going to be facing off against Newcastle United in a 2-legged tie. The Gunners will be playing at home in the first leg in early January before heading to St James Park in early February, with the winner to face either Tottenham or Liverpool in the final.
And at almost the same time, the men's team were beating Palace. The women's were in the Champions League game.
They were against Bayern Munich, who was shifted to Meadow Park due to the men's team fixture. And while it was the same dark and stormy evening, the pitch was lit up with Arsenal's fantastic performance. And the Gunners, they got off to the perfect start when Katie McCabe's work on the wing earned us the corner that she delivered into the box, forcing an own goal from Bayern.
making it 1-0 to Arsenal.
But then a set-piece goal to the visitors meant that the teams went into the half-time break on level terms.
After half-time, it was clear that the German side came out with some renewed vigour, and it was another set-piece from the visitors that was the undoing of the Gunners, as the second phase cross tricked through to a Bayern player who was somehow able to poke it home for their second, and leaving it with Arsenal all to do if they wanted to get something from the game.
Thanks, Tony. And as quick as a flash, we were level again with Alessia Russo as she sprung into action to thump home from a Katie McCabe corner her 11th goal of the season so far. And as the game drew towards the end, only a win would lead us to top the group. And Renee Slagers made some changes, introducing some subs with fresh legs. And after a corner came out to the top of the box and a shot was drilled in, the referee pointed to the penalty spot as the defender looked to use her arms to block the ball, and Mariona Cardente, who missed her last penalty, she stepped up and beat the keeper this time, meaning that the Gunners top the group and they're going to be facing either Wolfsburg, Real Madrid or Man City in the quarter-final phase.
And do the women's team have a break now, Ben?
Yes, Maddie, they are on a break until mid-January where they're going to be in FA Cup action against Bristol City.
And then finally, Ben, into the third game of the episode, and the men's team again played against Crystal Palace.
And Ben and Madi, this time the Gunners were at Selhurst Park, and it was Gabriel Jesus who again was a hero, picking up where he left off after scoring a hat-trick against them in the last game, breaching the Eagles' defence in just the 6th minute after Saka swung in a cross that was not dealt with by the defence, and Jesus was there to fire it past the keeper.
Making it 1-0 to Arsenal.
But then Palace hit back quickly. Ismail Assar found himself with space in the midfield and brought the ball forward before scoring low to rise left to level the scores. But it didn't last long as the game had that sort of frantic feel to it. And when we re-established our lead after the next attack, there was no surprises. A Gabriel Martinelli corner was not cleared, and Jesus smashed it into the top corner. His 5th goal in just 50 minutes of action, all against the same opposition.
But then, disaster not just the scoreline, but because of Saka, went off into the injury.
It meant, though, that Trossard came onto the field and it was, though, Jesus again. This time, though, his header from Martinelli's cross hit the woodwork, but it was right place, right time for Kai Havertz, who scored what will probably be his easiest tap-in of the season from very close range. That 3-1 scoreline led us into half-time, and when Rice and Calafiore, both back from injury, came on in a double change, we soon had a 4th when a ball fell to Rice after a shot from Jesus was saved, and he gave it to Martinelli, who poked it home for our 4th, making the game safe.
And then Declan Rice baby, scored the 5th goal of the game.
He did, and he curled in a wonderful effort from the edge of the area, making it 5-1, and meaning the Gunners have scored 5 goals in 6 different away games in the same calendar year, something that has never been done by any top-flight side ever. Awesome stuff to see.
And also, a great way for both Mikel Arteta, who is celebrating 5 years in charge of Arsenal, and Bukayo Saka, who, though leaving the field injured and spotted on crunches after the game, also celebrated his 250th game for the Arsenal. A great achievement for a player who is still quite young.
And next up for the team, Ben?
Well, next up, Maddie, the men's team play in between Christmas and New Year. It is a Premier League game at home where we're going to be hosting Ipswich Town at the Emirates Stadium. Let's hope we can enter the new year with a bang.
Okay, well, let's wrap it up for this episode. Thanks again for joining us at Arsenal Kids Podcast. And thanks to Tony for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Before we sign off, we want to express our gratitude for your continued support. If you haven't already, follow, like, and subscribe so you don't miss us in the future. Remember, it's your love for the beautiful game that fuels our passion.
And we would love for you to spread the word about Arsenal Kids Podcast.
Yes, please share our podcast with other Arsenal kids you know and help us to grow this amazing community together.
We hope to join you back in the pitch again soon.
Keep the spirit of the game alive, and until next time.
Goodbye and have a Merry Christmas. Ho, 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 ho.